Landwehr Canal in the centre of Berlin. On the other side of the canal, that's the Berlin Zoo, just pointed at the Corneliusbrücke, and there is the Liechtensteinbrücke bridge, and beyond that is the Rosa Luxemburg step. And in this video I'm going to talk about the death of Rosa Luxemburg. Now, in a different video I showed you the location of the murder of Karl Liebknecht. Rosa Luxemburg wasn't actually murdered here, only her body was dumped into the river here. And there's a very important difference between the deaths of the two of them, because the killer, or the person responsible for giving the orders, which was Waldemar Pabst, who lived until 1970. He allegedly said that Karl Liebknecht got a more dignified death because he was not Jewish, so he got a firing squad. Well, all that Rosa Luxemburg got was a dog's death, so to speak. Well, as the zoo is quite next to it, I'm sure they don't shoot their animals in the back of the neck and then dump them in the canal. Rosa Luxemburg was born in Zamość in Russian-occupied Poland. She came to Germany when she was in her 20s, and she was one of the founders of the Communist Party, effectively. She was a member of the SPD, the Socialist Party. During the war she broke from it, along with Karl Liebknecht, because of it wouldn't oppose the First World War. And Karl Liebknecht was locked up a couple of times. He was released towards the end of October 1918, around the 23rd of October or thereabouts. And this was something done by the royal government, the Kaiser's government, in order to attempt to pacify their fears of a rebellion or something like that. Anyway, that didn't quite work. On the 9th of November, Gustav Stresemann declared the German Republic, and a few minutes or maybe a couple of hours later, Liebknecht declared a sort of socialist republic. And anyway, despite the fact that the government was SPD, moderate socialist, and this didn't stop Rosa Luxemburg, although warning against it. She very clearly warned against an armed uprising. She did call for a Soviet-style Germany, and in praise of the Russian Revolution, which at the same time she also criticized. Anyway, they were after the Spartacist uprising failed. So between December 30th and the 1st of January 1919, there was the founding of the Communist Party. A Spartacist uprising took place. They believed that they could overthrow the government via a general strike. That didn't work, and the uprising itself was put down with a great deal loss of life. The SPD thoroughly disowned the two of them. In fact, they had been actually kicked out as well of the SPD earlier, but the SPD newspapers even referred to Liebknecht as being mentally disturbed. There were handbills and the likes out looking for them, wanted posters, and they went into hiding. Went hiding in Neukölln, and then in Wilmersdorf. First night they were there, they were picked up, obviously betrayed by somebody, and the 5 members of a citizens' militia arrested them. They came to the door, asked for them. The landlord said they're not here, but they did a search, found them. She'd already gone to bed, so presumably they allowed her to get dressed. They were taken to a hotel where the person the overall commanding officer was a general, and he'd only just got the job and he wasn't there. So the person in charge there was one Waldemar Pabst, the one I mentioned earlier, and Pabst then effectively arranged the two of them to be killed. They were separated. They were questioned, probably using force. Liebknecht was taken away in a car and he was shot at a lake, which is, it was like not 500, even less, 400 meters from here, something like that. And sometime we don't quite know, it's not quite clear where she was killed, even if she was dead when she was actually dumped in the river, but she was hit with the rifle butt, shot. It's not clear who the killer was, and then a body was dumped here, in fact, on this bit down here, and it was held down with weights, and which may be the reason why the body wasn't discovered for until the 31st of May. So she was murdered in the middle of January, and so 4.5 months later before the body's discovered. Seems a bit odd to me. Anyway, the body was identified on the 1st of June 1919, and a autopsy was done, and the autopsy identified her. Now, a curious little thing here is that later evidence has come forward that another body turned up around 90 years later, and that body is said it could be Rosa Luxemburg's. That's worth a separate account. I need to give the punchline note at the end. The authorities did say there was only a 40% chance that the other body was that of Rosa Luxemburg. So it may be that they did bury the right body after all. If after being in the water for 4.5 months, obviously a lot of damage was done to it, and then they didn't have the facilities that they have today to be able to tell, but they did use DNA with the new body, and they found a 79-year-old relative of Rosa Luxemburg's, but it wasn't, DNA just didn't match up. So this first bridge is for the zoo, and the second bridge is for those who haven't paid to go in the zoo. I'd have to say that Rosa Luxemburg's ideas are, in many ways, they are quite progressive. I don't want, maybe it's not the right time to go into sort of some philosophizing on her ideology. One thing I do have to point out, though, is that nowadays we know what communism has done and did. And so therefore it's a bit we can't be so critical of the early communist leaders. We could say the same thing, I suppose, about Nazis as well. We didn't know then how it would end up, but we do know now how it would end up, and I could understand some of the positive features of communism. The thing I would have to say, and I'm saying this as a Cold War warrior, formerly, that communism sounds all, it's a bit like a conspiracy theory, in effect. It sounds all very good until you start asking questions, and therefore that's when it all sort of falls down and makes no sense. And a very strange thing, which took place not so far from here, in fact, in 1988, East German students, I think it was, our youth organisation, pulled out a banner with one of her slogans on it, and the slogan was, the only true freedom is the freedom of the nonconformist, or something like that. I can't quite recall what it was. It was something along those lines. And so there were photographs apparently of the Stasi beating up these students who were using words of Rosa Luxemburg, who was one of the pet heroines of the East German regime. Anyway, I'll do a longer video on her life. Oh, there's another point as well. The place where she was born in Zamość. Now, when I was there last, there was a sign up saying that it's in the main square of Zamość in Poland, eastern Poland, that she was born in that house. And I think it was the local government, which fell into the hands of PiS, the current ruling party in Poland, who claims to be they are nationalist, but many of them are former communists anyway. And but they took down the sign because of the link between Rosa Luxemburg and communism. So anyway, good. So there's a little bit on the background, and the location, fantastic location, a really wonderful place to be. So to come into Berlin, lots of videos I've done from here, and my specialist area is on, in the way it's German history, my specialist area. 20th century, Nazi and communist periods, in particular the Holocaust. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, then you might want to subscribe. I upload every Friday at 2000 hours, and so if you're into this type of thing, then you might want to subscribe. But for the moment, thanks for watching. All the best from me in Germany, and I'll do a longer video on the life and deaths of Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht at a later date.